Oh my, oh my, oh my. Dr. Henry, good evening, and it's good to see you, man. PRT is back in the house, my friend.
We are back in the house, my brother. Yes, yes, yes. So good to see you here in this space, in this place. It's so good to see our audience there as well. I think we can see a chat or something, Pastor Paul, something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, I see David Hunt is in the building or in the space. Good to see you, David Hunt, up in the Northeast there. There's, I know that name, Sister Cindy P. That's my wife there in the chat. Good to see you, Cindy. For those of you joining us, we know that we have been away for a while. The last time we saw you, we were together. The whole PRT, well, not the whole PRT team, but the PRT host team were together in Orlando.
That's
for
right.
the 2024 Southern Union Pastors Conference. We had a blast, a wonderful time there. But it's been a while since we've been back in the regular space, in this space, Dr. Henry.
That's right. It's been a while. And we had a wonderful time at Rise. At Rise, we were able to interview some of the pastors that are in the Southern Union Conference. And also, we were able to interview some of the presenters. In fact, Pastor Paul, we have a presenter, one person that presented for the participants there at Rise, all those that came, the attendees there. And he is going to come to the PRT later on down in, I think, the middle of December or so. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that. He is a professor from Southern Union University, Southern Adventist University. There you go. And he's going to come and he's going to give us just a little bit of what he presented about. But listen, hey, there are only two of us here. So there's one that's missing. And that is Pastor Wade. Pastor Wade is missing. You know that Pastor Wade has been going through a whole lot. His father passed away a couple of weeks ago. And my understanding, Pastor Paul, he had another death in the family as well.
Yeah, he lost his brother just about two and a half weeks or so after he lost his father. So we want to invite our PRT family to join us in lifting up the Wade family during this time. I can't imagine what that has to be like, but he's been hanging in there and holding on. He preached his father's funeral, and he also preached his brother's funeral as well. Wow. Those of us pastors who know what that's like to bury a whole lot of people, it hits a little different when it's family and loved ones. And so we invite the PRT family to continue to lift up Pastor Wade and his family. And we thank you for those of you who've already reached out and who have already been sending prayers up on his behalf. On his behalf, we thank you so much for that.
Yep. So Doc,
hey man,
listen,
Dr. Henry is looking younger. I don't know how to feel about that, because that's considering
that's
the
what
source.
They say. Listen, man, water. I know what you're talking.
We will follow your example now.
No, right. Well, listen, look, I know we have a great program tonight. By the way, those of you who are watching online, please put us in the chat where you're watching from. And then there's something we need to do, Pastor Paul, before we actually get everybody drinking water now, man. They should pay me, man. These water companies, man, should pay. No, I'm just joking. But we want you to put in the chat where you're watching from. But there's something that we do, Pastor Paul, right before we get started. I know we're going to pray, but we want to make sure that this word gets out. Well, usually that's me. I guess, well, let me throw it to you. If you want to throw it back to me, that's fine, man.
All right, I'll take a stab at it. It's not usually my thing, but Dion is Dr. Henry is the appeal. He makes these appeals, but I'm gonna try it tonight. I'm gonna see if I learned anything. Listen, tonight is the night that you want to share. There's somebody in your family, somebody in your church, somebody in your sphere of influence that needs to hear the information that's going to come out tonight. Especially if you are in states like Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, anybody that has been impacted directly from these hurricanes, not just one, but two, from Helene that came through, or that came through from, or where any of the areas that, Milton came through. Milton. You want to tune into tonight's program. You want to share it. And so we want to invite you to do that tonight, is to share it. If you're watching on YouTube, here's a simple way that you can help us share it. Just hit the thumbs up button. That affects the algorithm so that other people are going to be more likely to see it. Even if you don't copy the link and share it with anybody, just hit the thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook as well, just saying hello, this is where I'm at. It helps the algorithm kick this feed into somebody else's feed who may need to hear this. Now, you may not be living in any of the areas that were affected by this hurricane, but you may have a loved one, a family member, a friend that's living in that area, and they're looking for some help. We're going to give you some resources tonight. We want to make sure that you share this as well. Now, Dr. Henry, we typically have, I don't know, if you and I and Dr. and Pastor Wade don't share, we may typically have about 10, 15 shares. I'd love to see if we can get up to about 75 shares tonight. So if you're on Facebook, share it to your own personal page, share it to a group page that you're a part of, share it to somebody, because we want to make sure that this information that is so critical can get out tonight. So make sure that you do that. Again, simple little things. Hitting the thumbs up button on Facebook or on YouTube can help make this get out. So in the words of Dr. Henry, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, share it with everybody that you know, so that we can get this information out tonight. With that said, Dr. Henry?
Well, listen, look, so tonight we're talking about a topic that I believe has impacted a lot of people. What's on the table tonight, Pastor Paul?
Well, as I've just kind of hinted at, we're going to be talking about hurricane relief and the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You know, oftentimes things happen in our world, and a lot of times our members and a lot of times our young people wonder, is the church paying attention to anything besides Revelation seminars? Is the church doing anything besides trying to do an evangelistic series or talk about doctrine and theology? Well, we want you to know that our church is very much involved and very much engaged in the things that impact people pragmatically and practically in our everyday lives, particularly things like this hurricane. So we've got some reps here from the Adventist Community Services Department of two different conferences. We're excited to have them both. One is from my conference, and I am very happy and proud to introduce and present to others Pastor Wayne Hewlett. I'm going to bring them on so you see them as we do this. Pastor Wayne Hewlett, we are excited to have him. He is particularly over our disaster relief in the Southeastern Conference here in Florida. And then he is joined by Dr. John Mills. Dr. John Mills he's not a stranger to PRT. He shares something, Dr. Henry, that I don't know if anybody else does. Maybe one other person. But he has been He has
Yes,
been
yes,
both
yes.
a guest
That's right.
before, and
Right.
he has been a part of the PRT team.
He has been a part of it. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
so I
He
think
has been
He
a
and
critical
Steph
part.
share that the two of them,
Yeah.
they share that distinction.
That's right. That's right. That's right. He has been a part of PRT. He has helped us with the question writing and being on, just being with us and supporting us. So we are so privileged to have Dr. John Mills, just like Dr. Wayne Hewlett is from your conference. Listen, Dr. John Mills is from my conference.
All right now. Good
So, good to have
stuff.
you on. Good to have you on.
All right.
So, Pastor Paul, let's pray. Let's have a word of prayer. Well, actually, we're going to let them say a few words about themselves.
Yes.
I know Pastor Paul usually does this part, but what we do, we give you just a few seconds. Pastor Paul will say something like 29.5 seconds. We know that you all are preachers, right? So I know that you can take the whole 2 hours, right? Or the hour and a half of this show. But for your introduction, just to get people to know a little bit about yourself, just give us a 29.5 seconds, just a brief introduction of what you do, and just a little bit about you, and then we'll go to Dr. John Mills after that. You go ahead first, Pastor Dr. Wayne Hewlett.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Henry. Hey, listen, thank you, Pastor Paul, for having us on this evening. I'm going to be quicker with the 24 or 29 seconds that I get. I am Pastor Wayne Hewlett, the senior pastor, or the pastor, sorry, of the New Life International SDA Church in Jacksonville, Florida, and also the ACS Disaster Relief Coordinator for the Southeastern Conference. Amazing time in this work, love this work, love community service, and just ready to discuss some of the things that are very important and pertinent to those who really need to get some of the information that we do have. Thank you, Dr. Henry.
I love it. Dr. Mills?
Yes. Good evening, everybody. I am happy to be here this evening with my old friends, my longtime friends, my PRT folks. I'm actually Associate Director for General Administration in the Florida Conference. A part of our portfolio is ACS/disaster relief. That's Adventist Community Services/disaster relief, along with 5 other departments that we oversee. And when I say we, I mean the team, which is inclusive of myself, my boss, which is Conrad Duncan. He couldn't be here this evening, so I am pinch hitting for him. He oversees the Office of General Administration, and we also have Janeth Montenegro, who is our administrative assistant, and she keeps us in line and keeps the ship rolling along. That's me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, again, we are excited to have both of you tonight. We're looking forward to a great conversation as we talk about some of these issues and things that so many of our people are facing in a seemingly unprecedented time. And so, but just before we begin, let's have a word of prayer. Master Lord, to guide us in our discussion tonight. Thank you, Father, for the opportunity that we have tonight to share. We thank you for our guests and the work that you have enabled them and empowered them to do. We ask that as we share this evening, that our people will be encouraged, that we'll be able to find and hear some things that will edify not just the church, but even the communities at large that we serve. For we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Again, thank you all so much for coming. We're going to jump right into our program today. First of all, listen, we have 2 representatives from the territory that we call Florida, right? So both conferences operate in the same territory. We cover probably over 100,000 members, right, just in Florida when you look at it, right? So I want to ask this question. We always talk about collaboration and so forth, but how did both conferences coordinate their disaster preparedness and immediate response efforts in anticipation of hurricanes, specifically Helene and Milton. How do they coordinate this together? Pastor Wade.
Oh,
Wayne.
so thank you for that. Listen, that's a really good question because oftentimes it's really difficult to plan for a disaster. I mean, you know, there's so many things that change. The dynamics of it is just amazing because of the simple fact. I mean, think about it. When a hurricane is about to come to shore, you get these spaghetti models. I don't know if you've seen them on the Weather Channel, and they have like 30 lines, and the 30 lines go all over the place. You know, this is where it's going to hit, or this is where it's going to hit. So the only thing you can do is kind of plan for it. But amazingly enough, both conferences came together and they brought the strengths of each conference and said, listen, there's only one way we're going to be able to handle this. We're going to have to collaborate together. You bring your strength, we'll bring our strengths, we'll put it together. And then when we do that, we'll try to make a plan, not just for the conferences, just to say for the churches, but for the community as well, for the people that are impacted around the church, because we have to remember that, you know, we're a witness. If we're talking this talk, we have to walk this walk. And so we take the opportunity to say, listen, let's put our two strengths together. Let's come together. Let's watch this thing. And as we go about it, let's make, as we go along, we go in lockstep. But if there is something that you're stronger in, you go ahead, we'll follow. And if you're stronger in this direction, we'll go and we'll follow. So we were glad to do that with Conrad and Dr. Mills, Pastor Conrad and Janet. The team just came together and we put it all together to make that collaborative effort work. So, yes.
No, I like this. Let me just kind of dig in here a little bit. So, was this a new experience for both conferences to come together like this? I don't know. Do you remember or recall any other experiences where the two conferences came together, either for Doc Mills or Pastor here, both pastors? Do you remember this happening like this?
So I know that the conferences have come together, but like I said, every disaster is kind of different, you know. So I don't know if it was the depth and the new experience of this, because we got to remember, Hurricane Helene hit first on that September 27th, 28th timeframe. And so we're planning together collaboratively to go out and address it. But then all of a sudden, we turn back around and 10 days later, here comes another hurricane, Hurricane Milton, right on top of that. So it's kind of unprecedented that right back to back, these things happen. So we had to go to a greater depth of collaboration, even in the warehousing that we're doing now. We're in a warehouse and we have one warehouse, but we're serving two hurricanes out of one warehouse.
Wow.
So we're receiving
both conferences
goods.
working out of the same warehouse. Is that what you're saying?
Both conferences. We're both in together, collaboratively working. And again, where our strengths are, we bring the team that's in here. Some do well at donations and sorting. Some do well to manage and lead the office. Some do well in shipping and receiving, all those things. And the volunteers are a mixture of both conferences, Pastor Paul. So, and so Dr. Henry, to answer that question, I believe that there has been a working together, but the depth of this now is amazing because we're deep together in this, entrenched in this effort to bring restoration to those who've lost everything.
Wow. If I can, Dr. Henry, just a follow-up for Dr. Mills. Dr. Mills, can you speak to, because I don't want us to just rush by this, because you know we've got a state conference and a regional conference collaborating in a way that sometimes our people will feel like We are so disunified. There's so much politics, this, that, and the other. Can you speak to the value or the impact of our people seeing our conferences, two conferences, working together on something? I don't want to spend a lot of time here because we know we got some other stuff to get into, but I just don't want us to rush by this thing. Is there anything that you can share to that, or you want to speak to in regard to that?
Absolutely. So, so this is my 21st year of working in Florida Conference as a pastor. 20 years in the um, in the field before I went into the office last year. Um, so I've seen collaboration and I've seen the lack thereof over the years.
Okay.
There is a different atmosphere now.
Okay.
It seems as if a shift has taken place. It seems as if we have turned a corner as far as collaboration is concerned. And I think it has to do with the two leaders who are heading up ACS/disaster response in the conference, in the conferences. And one of our phrases, if you will, that we use as we move forward, especially in this is, this is not Florida Conference, this is not Southeastern Conference, this is Adventist Community Services.
Wow.
And so we're keen on that. You see, and so everybody who comes on board in terms of volunteers, everybody who comes on board in terms of the leadership who is serving, that is the keynote and the key perspective from which we are operating Adventist Community Services. And we want the state with which we are collaborating through this warehouse process. We want the state to see us and experience us as Adventist Community Services and not as this conference or that conference. Yeah.
I'm with Pastor Paul, and I again know, cognizant that we have more questions, but I want to know what are the future implications of this collaboration, right? What do you see happening in the future after we get by and Milton, and I know that process is going to take many years for some people just to rebuild, right? But we know that the reason why we have these ministries is because a disaster is going to happen. Community services, that's always needed. What are some of the implications, the future implications that you can think of based upon the collaborative experience that you have right now? I want to go first to Hewlett.
Yeah, so very good. Dr. Henry, I believe that this could serve as a template for the future. Really, disaster is, as you work together commonly for the good of those who have lost everything. For instance, let me just tell you, there is a historically Black community in Stuart, Florida, right below Port St. Lucie, New Monrovia. It's a historically Black community, very old community that's there. The whole community is gone. I mean, there's no homes there.
Wow.
The roofs are all off. The roads have been demolished, everything. And we even have had presence. Sister Hawkeyes from ACS has gone down there to just look at the face of people in need. Doesn't determine or doesn't say, well, I'll take help here or I'll take help from here. So when we come together collaboratively, we're saying, listen, we're building a template to say we're servants. We're here to serve. And there is no distinction of who we serve. The distinction, whether you're, whether you draw along the left or the right, the blue or the red.
Or red or the blue.
It just, listen, I get it. I get it. But and just to let you know, here's an amazing thing that I noticed. Even during Hurricane Katrina, there in New Orleans, you had the lower ward, and then there were the lower ward where there were those that were of a particular economic, social level, and then you had the community that was very well off. But when the hurricane hit, they said that it didn't matter where you were from. People were trying to get into the Walgreens store to get Pampers for the children. Yeah. And it didn't matter. They were both pulling on bars trying to get into the store. I mean, this is things that you see. So in the face of disaster, in the face of disaster, it's just a need. Everyone's in need. So hopefully this serves as a template, Dr. Henry, to say, listen, this is how we can do this together. And if we give that model, give that example, and understand what the true mission and common goal is, I think that'll work for the future.
So can I take a stab at that, Doc?
Yes.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So conversation is taking place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whenever conversation is taking place, that is an opportunity for relationship to be built. So, this is one of the things that I see can come out of this as far as the future is concerned. You were asking about the future. Keeping in touch with each other, right? Mm-hmm. For the sake of doing good for the wider community. So, and that is exactly what is happening here, right? If we can spread this to the other portions of the conference,
Doc Mills, let me just clarify.
Amazing thing.
I want to make sure that people understood that you said the wider community.
Right?
Yeah. A whole state.
We tend to be like this, right? But there's a wider community, right? And then all of that can help, the conversation, the building of relationship, all of that can help to foster more cohesion, more unity, which can only help. And when you have conversation, when you have relationship being built, when you have unity taking place, we as Adventists become stronger, right?
That's good.
And we can walk together, we can work together, and we're proving it now. We're proving it now with this disaster response effort. Yeah.
Good. Listen, gentlemen, Pastor Hewlett, we heard you share just a little bit about Monrovia and that particular situation. I live on and we used to be kind of neighbors, just not too far from each other. I live on the east coast of Florida, in Royal Palm Beach. As we were watching the Milton unfold, Milton unfold, the idea was that Milton was going to come as this big, huge hurricane and hit and smash the west coast of Florida around the Tampa Bay area. We were hearing things that this was going to be unprecedented, et cetera, et cetera. And it built up a whole lot of anxiety and angst, particularly for Floridians that lived on the west coast in the Bay Area. For those of us that lived on the East Coast, we were kind of feeling like, we missed one. We're going to be okay, because a lot of times we're the ones who get hit. But in the midst of that, it was that Wednesday evening. I was watching just before the storm was supposed to hit on early Thursday morning or somewhere in that time frame. But on Wednesday, I was watching my social media and I saw this stuff about tornadoes, and I was getting things on my phone about tornado warnings.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a minute, we're not on the West Coast, we're over here on the East Coast. I saw somebody posted a picture or a video on YouTube or on a Facebook feed or something like that of a hurricane, and they said, not a hurricane, of a tornado. And they said this is in Wellington, Florida. I am like right across the street from Wellington. And I saw in the video, I saw a street sign. And I said, let me go figure out how far away that street sign is from where I live. Turns out that intersection was about 2.5 miles from where my home is.
Wow.
And then another one came down, and it was again about 2 or 3 miles from where I am. On Thursday morning, I got up and I saw a video from one of my former church members who lived in the area, who was showing a video of where the tornado, that same tornado that I had seen on somebody else's video the day before, had hit her home. Matter of fact, I saw them in that family in the chat earlier today, that they're watching tonight. And I went over there that afternoon, and all of the windows and things were blown out, glass all over the floor. The entire home was destroyed. The city came by and put a notice on the door, said it's uninhabitable. People all up and down the block. There was a home directly across the street, just directly across the street, where the tornado had come and lifted a car up off of the ground and then threw it down through the roof of the people's house. And there was stuff like that all over that neighborhood. And I saw that with mine own eyes, and went and helped and seen this. But could you share from what you guys have seen? And let's start with Pastor Mills. From you guys have seen and heard from the calls from both Helene and Milton, what are some of the most critical needs that you're seeing that are coming in as requests or just information from both churches and families and from our communities? What are some of the most critical situations that you're seeing? We heard a lot about flooding on the West Coast, a lot of wind damage and flooding up in the Carolinas. I see some South Atlantic folk in our chat tonight, and that's going to be the South Atlantic crew, and then Carolina conferences up there. What are you guys hearing are some of the most critical needs that are arising from both of these hurricanes?
Yeah, so you kind of hit the nail on the head, infrastructure, homes being decimated, flooding, and lives being uprooted and turned upside down. And of course, all of those, well, before I say that, let me say also, loss of power, which leads into loss of food, food go spoil, and with all of that, probably the most nerve-wracking loss, if you will, is just the notion of loss itself, right?
Wow.
The spiritual and emotional toll that people are experiencing as a result of these disasters. So you have the physical, you have the property damage, you have the emotional and spiritual aspect of it. And so, as volunteers, as people on the front line, we have to be so careful, the way in which we approach, the way in which we respond to situations, because you don't want to make a bad situation worse, right? So the approach is important, and the response is important, and you have to be keenly aware of, and this is the importance of the question you asked. You have to be keenly aware of the fact that it is not just about the damaged house or the flooding that went through. It is about the toll that it takes on that family, that individual. So this is the kind of losses, if you will, that we're seeing out there, that we ourselves are experiencing. Yeah.
Wow. That's huge, Elder. I think that's often something that we overlook when it comes to loss. It's not just the physical stuff. And so I'm wondering, and I'm Pastor Hewlett, you can address that as well, but I'm wondering if do we provide any like counseling resources,
yes, we do.
Mental health stuff for people who've experienced this? Pastor Hewlett.
Yes, sir. And thank you. That's one of the components and arms that disaster response has moved into, where they're offering spiritual care and counseling going into communities. I want you to think that 2 years ago, there was a hurricane called Hurricane Ian that came through, and pretty much almost in the same area, just wiped out, that Sanibel Island area, the causeway, the waterway, all of that. And so almost 2 years to the day, there were some communities that were just getting their homes rebuilt so that they become livable again. And then Helene comes through and decimates it and does the same thing it did 2 years ago. Wow. And if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't enough, it was to Milton came behind it to say, to ensure that you don't try to build again, it comes through. As we go around the conference in our church in Fort Myers, and we know that there's a pastor there in Fort Myers that the church flooded from Ian, and they were rebuilding and getting everything together. They dedicated the church, and I believe it was 4.5 weeks before Helene comes through and
wow.
The same thing. So the emotional and mental toll is a very thing. But the Adventist Community Service arm of disaster response, that's why they've not just focused in the area of restoring through goods and services, but they've said, listen, there's a spiritual component to this where we need to go in and speak with communities and talk with them and pray with them and help them through this mentally, and be a witness to them that God is still in control.
So let me add to that, Elder. What we basically do, we provide for loss, right? But the greatest thing that we do in the disaster zone is that we bring Jesus to the disaster zone. When throughout the year we have trainings, right? The last one we had was at the office, the Florida Conference office. Both people from both conferences were there. We deal with topics like donations, operations, how to receive and organize and send out donations, forklift operations, how to operate a forklift in a warehouse, right? Warehouse management, right? But there's also a component that is taught by Derek Lee, which is the North American Division head of Community Service / Disaster Relief. And that courses called spiritual and emotional care. Yeah.
All right. So
I like
let me
that.
just push a little further before we move to the next question. So can you tell us just a little bit, the kinds of things that have been done or have been provided? Are we seeing, who are we giving help to right now, up to this point? Is it churches? Is it church members? Is it families in particular areas? Who are the ones that we have been able to reach or to help the most at this point? And what exactly have we provided, or what have we done?
Which one of us?
Either one. Let's take a stab at that.
Well, I can tell you, John.
Go ahead, Wayne.
John, I do know that we sit at the table, and the wonderful thing about a collaboration is that even in the collaboration that we have, we still say, what's unique to what you want to do, in your sphere of influence. And so Florida Conference may say, we're going to do this, but I do know Southeastern Conference, we started taking up collections in our different regions of food product, and not just food product, but diapers and children diapers, adult diapers, sanitation products, things that people, that's not even really in the wheelhouse of what we do, but as uniqueness, and we say, listen, what can we do to provide immediate Band-Aid kind of, and for lack of a better term, Band-Aid care for those that are affected. So we've done that. The major thing that's important that we've done together and we've collaborated with is we're well resourced. There are some things that are available in our communities. I was amazed at what's available in the communities. When we came together, chainsaw crews. These are people who we just want to take and we just want to cut trees down. That's all we want to do. But that's how we want to help people, and we're doing it free. So you can connect with them, and they'll come to your house.
Wait. Hold on. He said free, y'all. He said free. Listen, my wife was just telling me the other day that she knows somebody down in the Tampa Bay area who was talking to her, or a friend of hers, who said that in the space of about 2.5 hours, they went and made she said $8,000 for just cutting trees. That people are having to spend that kind of money to get trees cleared from driveways, from roads, or off lines and all that kind of stuff. But you're saying that the Adventist church,
come on now, come on, preacher, talk
Adventist
to us.
Church has a chainsaw crew that's going to go and help somebody for FREE. That's FREE.
We know, yes. So we know the resources that do that because of the VOAD, which is voluntary organizations active in disaster. But that's why we encourage our local churches. And here's the thing, to get involved with their COAD, COAD, community organizations active in disaster. These are organizations that are not just the Red Cross, United Way, the Mormons, all of the, there are people that are out there that say, listen, when there's a disaster, we want to provide this or this. If you know that, you can make a telephone call and they'll just add you to the list and come out and they'll take care of those things that you're in need of. And we have, because we came together collaboratively, we shared our resource list of all the organizations that we do know, and we put those out for Hillsborough County, we put them out for St. Lucie County, so that you could call and you could go ahead and get those things taken care of that you need to get taken care of. And we've got a few testimonies of people who have said, thank you for providing that number, because they came out, they knocked out the work, and then they kept going on down the street.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
So this collaboration that's taking place, is a witness, but not only between the two conferences working together, but you're talking about now local agencies and state agencies, and And hopefully we can get some resources or some number that we can call by the end of this program so that people who are watching can take advantage of those emergency management agencies. Now, as you work with those agencies, Dr. Mills, I know you're going to say something, Doc? Go ahead.
I wanted to add something, but go ahead with your question.
Okay, and then maybe we could put that in there.
I can wrap it in. Yeah,
you can wrap it in. There you go.
Yeah.
This is the PRT man right here, right? We are all together.
And Slim taught me how to wrap it in, man.
Wrap it in, right? So as you work with these emergency management agencies, a lot of collaboration is taking place, but there must be some challenges too that you're facing. I don't know. Is it everything is just smooth, but are there any challenges that you face when you collaborate with different agencies? Any difficulties that you have, Dr. Mills? Go ahead.
Yeah, the biggest challenge, right? And this is the main challenge. The biggest, I'm gonna say to folks, the thing that you need most of all, in spite of the difficulty that you're going through right now, the one thing that you need most of all is patience. Sometimes what we need, it doesn't come at the exact time that we want it, but eventually it's gonna come, So everybody, all of us, workers especially, because we want to see this thing get done in a very timely manner so that people can get back to normalcy as much as possible. But there's this thing that we have to grapple with, and it is called patience. So that would, Pastor Henry, that would be the most, I don't even want to use the word difficult, but the most challenging thing that we have to deal with, because, it's, at the end of the day, it's government, right?
Okay.
And we know how the bureaucracy can get sometimes. But let me put in a plug here to add to what Pastor Wayne had talked about earlier also. So we have an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding with the state of Florida, right? Okay. Such that we are the go-to organization to manage warehouses for them in the event of a disaster, right? Okay. So they call upon us, we are the ones, right? Everything that is needed, from a pin to an anchor, is going to pass through that warehouse, right? Upwards of, when it is all said and done, upwards of $5 million worth of goods. You see? Oh my. And most places that are affected is going to get touched somehow with those goods, right? We're talking about food. We're talking about all of the things that Pastor Wayne just mentioned, plus construction material, furniture, things of that nature. When it is all said and done, we might be there for at least 3 months, maybe more, right? When it is all said and done, a lot of the places that are affected by the storm will be touched by this service. ACS, Adventist Community Services, in collaboration with the state of Florida.
Dr. Henry, can I just real quick on that? I like the words, and this is something that we're trying to pass on to our churches.
Yeah.
Dr. Mills said something. John, you said something. You said, listen, we've built such a relationship with the state of Florida, VOAD.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're encouraging our churches to do. Go ahead and build a relationship with your local organizations, which means that you've got to get outside of the four walls of the church. And you've got to go to maybe one of the luncheons that the folks have, your local community organizations active in disaster. Because here's the thing, I'm in Jacksonville, and the first thing that the COAD did is they were looking for places that, what do you call them, linemen, the bucket trucks, the big bucket trucks that were coming from north.
The
power guys. And they said, listen, we want to come down there, but we don't want to park on the highway. Do you have somebody that has a parking lot? Well, guess what? 6429 Atlantic Boulevard, Jacksonville, Florida. There was a call made.
Yes, sir.
Let me said, Wayne, do you have a parking lot that the trucks can stage? Yes, because guess what? They're linemen. So if the lines fall around the church,
preach it.
I need to add something when you finish.
In addition to that, we got a call that said that one of the things we did is we went to the disability luncheon that they had, and it was just a luncheon, and we talked to the folks that provide things like oxygen tanks and different things like that for those who have disabilities, wheelchairs, and different things like that. And we said, listen, we have a disabilities ministry in the church. We'd love for you to present. And we have some folks that are, disabled, and we'd like for you to be, oh yeah, they came, they did a seminar and a class. Well, guess what? Right after the storm, they asked us, is there anyone that lost their electric scooters in the storm through flooding? Because what we want to do is we want to go ahead and replace it. If they'll bring the old one, we'll give them a new one.
What?
Yeah.
Relationship. So patience. I agree.
But let me add this one more thing, guys. Same point, same trajectory. Your church can become a point of distribution, a POD, right? Call us. Specifically Janet, Janet Montenegro, Janet.Montenegro. She prefers to be emailed, and she will work out the details with you of how you can align and set up your church to be a point of distribution, such that when goods leave the warehouse, they can come and put it in your facility to be distributed to your community.
Right.
There's one major caveat. You can't just give it to the members of your church. It has to be within a certain area that is affected also. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, Wayne, I'm listening, Wayne, to that story about the linemen and in the parking lot of the church, and the power goes out there. But I'm thinking, even if I live around the church, like I might not be a member of the church or be the church, but I'm thinking, you know what? There ought to be some value and a benefit of living in proximity to a Seventh-day Adventist church.
There you go.
There ought to be stuff that just happens around our building. It doesn't happen at other places, and it's not always just the preaching and the singing, and there ought to be some practical benefits from being close to, within the shadow of a Seventh-day Adventist church. And we thank you for bringing that, man. That was just powerful stuff. No pun intended, powerful, but yes. Good stuff.
That's powerful, Anselm, because if you got power in the room, then the neighborhood will be blessed. You're not talking to me, preacher.
Hey, come on.
Just put the power in the neighborhood, man. The streets will be blessed.
Mercy. A lot of these places that come down, all they want to do is say, listen, is there anyone who will receive us? Anyone who will receive us. That's all we're looking for. I don't know if you heard the story that happened in Tampa. I don't want to call the pastor's name out, but I don't know if he might say, whoa, you tell me. But they did a huge drive for their community. And there was a organization that came from Michigan in remembrance of their son who died in a disaster. They said that they were going to spend the rest of their life giving, just coming to wherever there's a disaster, and whatever they had in that trailer that they had, the pull behind trailer, they were going to give it. This particular church he called in Tampa. He was calling churches and saying, "Can I park in your parking lot to spend the night?" And he said some churches he didn't get any answer, but there was one particular pastor that said, "Yes, come on, you can park your truck here as you help the people that are in need." When the man woke up in the morning, he opened up the trailer. He gave the church 6 brand new generators in a box. He gave them 13 chainsaws. He gave them 24 cans of gas. He gave them 2 whole pallets of water. He gave them oil. And not only that, he wrote them a check for $5,000 and then gave them $1,000 in cash. And then he said, "Thank you." And he got in the trailer and he took off.
And the church say amen.
Yeah. Pastor Paul, are we going to take a break, man, right here?
The church say amen.
Yeah, we need to take a little break right quick.
Let's take a break, man.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. You guys stay put. Listen, if you are just joining us tonight I don't know if they could hear my organ. Could you hear the organ just now? I was playing it.
We heard it. We heard it.
I heard it.
Oh, you heard it. Okay. All right.
Listen.
If you're just joining us tonight, our program tonight, we are talking about the Adventist response, the Adventist community service response to her, and as it pertains to hurricane relief. We've just the East Coast, southern and eastern, southeastern part of the United States has just been hit really hard, from Florida to Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, particularly North Carolina, some of the Georgia areas as well, and we are hearing tonight of some of the relief efforts from the Adventist Church. A lot of times people say the Adventist Church doesn't get involved. They don't participate in things that happen in the community. They don't serve the community in pragmatic and practical ways. Well, we're hearing tonight of some very pragmatic and practical ways that the Adventist Church is doing that. But listen, if you have just stopped by Pastor's Roundtable, we are excited that you've come by tonight. We know that we have been missing in this space, Dr. Henry, for a good minute or two. Talk to me, Doc. Wow. What can the people expect going forward? Are we going to be back next week? Are we? What are we doing? What can they expect? Let me see how many people. The 47 people that we have on live right now, and the probably 200-300 that are going to watch this on the replay. What are we telling them, Doc? What are we telling them?
Listen, man, what we're saying to you right now is the Pastors Roundtable. We are here. And we are, look, I think we said this a couple of weeks ago. Oh, I think we said this at Rise. It's just been a busy season, right? But look, we have some people here that want to bring some information to you. I told you about the episode that's happening in December. I'm excited about that one when Dr. I don't even want to say Allen. Oh, okay. I don't want to give out the whole thing, but he's going to be, and he's going to present something powerful. So look, we are here to present some wonderful topics to you so that we can all be relevant, resourced,
and real. Well, listen,
Amen.
Speaking of that, man, you missing kind of, or not as consistent over the summer, man. We've missed a lot of hot topics that have been going on. I've been watching my social media feeds, and there's again these issues about tithe. I kind of started by the way, I started a little series on tithing, and you want to check that out on my Twittic channel. If you look up Twittic, TIWITIK, I think it's how. Check that out. But there's been some issues with the whole vaccination thing has come up again, and some of you have been hearing some of the stuff with Dr. Conrad Vine. Some of you've been hearing stuff stuff about the Catholic and Adventist symposium that was going on that was supposed to go on, scheduled to go on, and Loma Linda. Some of you have texted me and reached out to me and say, "Hey, what does Pastors Roundtable think about that's going on out there?" There's been a lot of very interesting issues going on.
Doctrinal things too. I mean, people who are saying, I was taught this, but I don't know if this is true. And having to say, you know what, because of my conviction, I am now going to be separated from the Adventist. I mean, there's a lot going on. Pastor Paul, a lot of stuff that I think it deserves a platform on the Pastors Roundtable. What do you think about that?
That all of the stuff that went on, we missed the whole cult conversation, man. The whole is the Seventh-day Adventist Church a cult, and we missed that. We weren't here in that space during that time. But listen, we're going to catch back up. We want to bring some more light and some more information on some of these topics that are affecting our churches, our mission, and our structure. And so keep an ear to the ground for us going forward. I know we plan to take a break over the holidays, but we're going to be back in this space. Now, with that said,
can I say this too?
Yes.
Oh, before you go back, listen, they may see some different faces on here too from time to time.
Okay. Okay. That's a sneak peek.
They may see some different faces, man. To liven it up, man. Is so some of the guest hosts that you've seen before, you may see them going a little bit more. You may see some other guest hosts coming up. So we're just trying to, do something a little different, bringing people back to the Pastors Roundtable where we keep ministering. Where's Pastor Wade? We need Pastor Wade, man.
Relevant. Got to get his voice. Relevant.
Yeah, his voice. So
hey, look, we might have to get Pastor Hewlett back on and be a guest host at the PRT.
I love it.
Hey, listen, I saw Karen Black in the chat tonight. We got to meet, or at least I got to meet Karen at the Rise conference a few weeks back. We often get the privilege and honor of meeting some of you who've been a part of our audience for so very long, and it's a thrill for us. It's an honor for us to be able to put some faces with some names from time to time, and we thank you for the support that you have provided to Pastors Roundtable over the years. And speaking of support, we want to let you know you can always go to the PRT.live. That's the website. Go back, check out any of the past broadcasts or episodes that you may have missed. You can find them all there. In addition to that, there's some of the show notes that you'll find there, as well as, and again, we want to thank, there are some of you that have been conscientious in supporting financially the Pastors Roundtable.
Yeah.
It does not, we can't do this, what we do, for free. It takes some resources to do it. We have not been, over the top kind of asking for your support. It's been our honor and our privilege to do this as best we can out of pocket. But some of you have helped to ease that load, and we thank you so very much. And for those of you that want to continue to do that or start doing that, you can find ways to do that on the website, the PRT.live. And so we thank you for what you have done and what you'll continue to do with that. We've got a few minutes left. We've got about 20 minutes left. Let's get our guest. Back in here, we are again joined tonight by Pastor Wayne Hewlett, Dr. John Mills. They work with Adventist Community Services in little different capacities in the Southeastern Conference and in the Florida Conference. We know that there are other conferences that have been very active in Adventist Community Services, particularly in connection to these hurricanes. Those Adventist Community Services in Georgia Cumberland, in South Atlantic Conference, and then up in the Carolina Conference. I think a lot has been done there. And we didn't ask this question, but guys, talk to us a little bit. We've been talking a lot about Florida. What have you been hearing in the aftermath of Helene as it impacts our neighbors to the north? The Georgia folk, the North Carolina folk. We heard areas like Asheville, North Carolina. What are you hearing? What can you share? Don't have to take a long time, but just give us a snapshot of what's going on in those areas now.
You want me to go ahead, John?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll follow up. Yeah.
So let me just tell you real quick. And there was a briefing done, and this is the most impactful thing I've ever seen for the NAD. And we all came together as disaster relief coordinators. And the Carolina Conference, I believe it was, John, wasn't it? The director of the Carolina Conference, disaster relief coordinator, was sitting there giving a report to the NAD, the North American Division, sorry, about what was going on in this area. I saw him stop and kind of take a breath and notice, I said, man, this guy's eyes are, he must have been up for a while. And he said, if you guys don't mind, as I'm giving this report, I just wanted to share, I just needed to share with you. I just need to take a break and think about it because my house is underwater. And while he was giving the report, the phone rang and he says, I want to finish the report. This is the insurance company calling me and they want an update on what's going on at my house. So, in the North Carolina area, the Hurricane Helene was packed with a lot of moisture and water. And so when it came ashore, it did a lot of damage in Perry County or the Perry County area up in Florida. But more of that damage was done headed up to Georgia and North Carolina. And I'm sure you've heard, not to insult anyone's intelligence, but roads were washed out, flooding took place, flash flooding, mountain streams overrun, different things like that. And then Milton just added more, more impact to it as well. And so those conferences they're tasked out. They're bringing other folks from around the United States to help them in that area. And so it's very important that we just, keep those that are affected. And what's so odd about it, or, when I leave here from this side and go through these areas, maybe Tampa, and you go back to a place, kind of Jacksonville, and you see the sun out, there's the people are at Wawa getting gas. There's, when you just left places that have no gas, people are waiting 3 hours to get gas. No electricity, the stoplights are hanging down, and then so you kind of forget that there were two major disasters.
The folks, the conferences, they're doing their best. They're collaborating with their local agencies. Victor Maddox is the newly minted ACS / disaster response leader for the Union and for the Southern Union. And so he is heavily involved in what is going on, in what is happening there. They're doing their best with what resources they have. One of the stark and graphic reality of community services and disaster response is that we're unable, let me say it like that. We are unable to address 100% of the needs of the people.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a back-to-back disaster, one after the other. But we go and we try our best and do what we can in Jesus' name. Yeah.
So talking about this, trying to address these disasters, and there's only so much that you can do. But even what you're doing, by the way, you all are doing an awesome job. But I know that you are developing a team, like you have a team of people, not just in the conference, but also people out there in the community. So I want to talk about volunteers. First, church volunteers. Now, I'm assuming that you get volunteers that are not a part of the church, right? I'm assuming that. But how do you mobilize that? So Milton happens and you want to get in there. The storm has passed. You want to address it. Walk me through getting the volunteers and then the training or preparedness that needs to take place as well. I'm going to start with John.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier about the training, touched on it a little bit, donations, operations, as far as managing a warehouse is concerned, um, donations operations, forklift operation, spiritual and emotional care, warehouse management, and all of those things fall under community service also. So we invite the folks from all across the two conferences to come and be trained for a couple of days over a long weekend, and we also, while the folks are there, make certain to get their information, their name and their contact information, so that during the event, in the event of a disaster, we can call upon them and say, hey, it's now, it's go time. Are you still available, right? And so, and throughout the year, we also, encourage our pastors to remind the folks that this time is coming. Are you going to be able to participate in a voluntary manner? Sit just a little bit, not too far off. As far as the warehouse is concerned, right now, we're looking for volunteers for hourly or daily, right? We have 7 core people, 7 core leaders that are made up of individuals from both conferences. Those are going to be there for the long haul, right? And then we have volunteers that come in for a day or two, an hour or two, according to how their permit, how long their schedule will permit them to do so. So those are the kind of volunteers we're looking for now. And just to reiterate, throughout the year, we have these workshops, these trainings that help to prepare people to be volunteers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give the volunteer information where you can go to sign up, because very important. You cannot just show up at the warehouse and say, I want to volunteer today, right? Yeah. There's a process, and
so John,
I
I was
have
going
the
to ask
information
that.
here. You're going to ask.
You've got a Pathfinder club in Arizona. You've got a men's ministry group in Colorado who's seen all of this stuff. And they say, yeah, we've got a weekend free. We want to go down to Florida, want to go down to Georgia, want to go to North Carolina, want to, whatever. And we want to help. How do they, so that sounds like that's what you were getting ready to share with us. There's a way or a person that they can contact and say, we have this many people, these many kids, this is the resources that we have. Where can we go? They can do that, and there's a place they'll be assigned. There's some work that they will be able to do if they come.
Yes. Janeth, Janeth, with a TH, not just a T, right? Janeth with a TH, Janeth.Montenegro@floridaconference.com. She coordinates all of that for us, right? And you can also go on the website, floridaconference.com, go to community service or disaster response, and fill out the volunteer form. Volunteer sign up, right? Volunteer sign up. Volunteersignup.org. Volunteersignup.org. And we'll take from there. For a group like what you mentioned, Pastor Paul, they could call Janet and she makes the arrangements set the dates and so on and so forth. But please, folks, don't just show up because of all the liability issues that are involved. We have to take care of all of that. So don't just show up and say you want to volunteer. And we would prefer as much as possible, not discounting what Pastor Paul just asked about, but we would prefer as much as possible that volunteers are within close proximity of the warehouse. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
that's to do warehousing work. What if there's, okay, that's if you want to work in the warehouse. What if there's a church or a particular community that needs help? That's not so much warehousing help, but maybe they need some yard cleanup. Maybe there's been a lot of water damage and stuff needs to be picked up and thrown out and all of that. There's a lot of manual help that I know all of us have seen that people need in circumstances like this. Does what we just had on the screen, volunteer sign up, does that give an opportunity for people to sign up for things like that, or the individual whose email you just gave out?
So,
Are those kinds of projects,
right.
service projects available as well?
So we have different groups that do things like that. We have the MCC, that's the Medical Cadet Corps. We also have sufficient.
Patrick Williams, he says, with so much recent negative energy sent out regarding our denomination, it is satisfying and encouraging to hear about our
Praise
church
God.
members involved in hurricane relief. So, gentlemen,
Praise
it's
God.
just an affirmation,
Yeah.
and letting you know how much we appreciate and our community appreciates what you guys are spearheading in the community around us. I know that we haven't had enough time to do a lot of the stuff that we want to do, but we're glad we were able to get those particular resources out. Again, you'll see on the screen, if you want to participate and volunteer, that's the add out in your local church.
Yes.
Communications information, add out in your local church.
Yes.
Communications information, so that your people know, here's a way that maybe your Pathfinder Club, maybe your men's ministry, maybe your women's ministry, or you've got a school and you're comparison to the time that you're putting in to our communities. Pastor Hewlett, I'm going to see if I can, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to see if I can give you a full screen shot, because I want people to see where you are. So this was not a prepared scene. So y'all bear with me as I try to make this work. You're going to see a black screen for a quick minute. And I'm going to see if I can bring Pastor Hewlett in here. How do I do that? Where are you? Nope, not there. Let's do this.
And after you do that, if you could give me a second to say something about Pastor Hewlett, please.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Man, I don't know how to get you in here, Wayne. Let's do it like this. I'm going to do it as...
We're in the warehouse. That's it. We're in the warehouse. That's it. We're in the warehouse.
You're in the trenches, Doc.
It's
big. We on the ground. We on the ground.
All right. This is going to look a little funky as I get this straight here. This is that like that, but we're going to blow him up. Okay.
All right.
So can he move around?
The warehouse there.
Can you move the camera around?
You've got 13 doors. 13 doors. One of the sticks are for shipping. Those are things that go out. 13 doors. All of this is floor space. This is floor space. So when the trucks come in, the semi trucks come in, everything is staged down through here. And it's here. We go through it and we do sort. And then you've got doors 7 through 12, 13 or 7 through 12 that take care of intake. Now we get all kinds of things. These are just some of the things that we have that just got here.
Yeah, and this is the beginnings. This is the beginning of stuff, guys.
So these are
many more things are coming.
Because we just got this warehouse recently. This isn't something we've had for a while, right?
Yes,
No,
yesterday.
yeah,
Oh,
recently.
yesterday. We
Wait, wait,
just got the warehouse yesterday?
wait. So we just got this warehouse yesterday?
No.
This shipment.
We the shipment he's
Okay.
talking. Yeah, we got the warehouse a few days ago. We got we finalized the contract for the warehouse last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how the process goes, the state searches and sends us about 5 or 6 options, and we choose about 2 or 3 to go look at. And after we go and look on them, we make a choice.
Okay,
And
we've
say,
got
yeah,
some of our audience saying that they're not seeing what we're seeing. But if we can, what's
Okay.
the size of this place? If those aren't seeing,
this
we can just
one
give
is
them?
this one is somewhere between 80 and 85,000 square feet.
Wow, 85,000 square foot warehouse. We're looking at great big open warehouse space with lots of.
Gonna at least show them that right before we get off today. Okay, there you go. And you're looking at that. All of those items there is like Pastor Mills
And
just said.
and
Just
these items are just the tip of the iceberg.
the tip.
Yeah,
The
just the
tip.
tip of.
But for whatever
Okay,
reason,
sorry
I
about
think
that.
I don't
Yeah.
think
So
it's
13
necessarily
bay
on your
doors.
end.
Yes,
Go ahead.
13 bay doors, and 65,000 square feet of storage space.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
On the racks that they have, and
On
then
the
the storage
racks.
process.
The warehouse itself is 80,000, but
Correct.
the storage space is 60, right?
Good.
Dr.
Good
Mills, you were
stuff.
going to say a word about Pastor.
So just
Hewlett.
to
Yeah.
give you guys a little snippet of what goes on at the warehouse. So after working all day transporting equipment from the conference office to the warehouse, and transport it back to the warehouse. Not some equipment. Take some equipment and transport it back to the warehouse. While I was going to sleep, and we all were finished for the day and were going to sleep, we got a call. A truck just came in, and Wayne had to jump and go. And I think somebody else went with you, Wayne.
Yes.
And unload the stuff from that. So stuff comes at various times. Anytime. And you have to be ready. But this is the commitment that we have made to do for our community, to help address the needs of our, and I just wanted to highlight that and say something on behalf of my intrepid team member, Wayne Hewlett.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Again,
Again, we appreciate so much both of you, and we know that you don't do all of this by yourselves. You've got teams and other people that are supporting you and support staff. So we want to send a great big shout out on behalf of the PRT and the PRT family for you and your teams, your staff, what you guys do. Thank you so very much. We look forward to being able to hear more. We look forward to somebody in our audience who may have seen or heard something tonight that's inspired them, whether to give financially, to give of their time, to volunteer, to look support to those whom we seek to serve and to help to become disciples of Jesus Christ. Yes.
Thank you so much for mentioning finances, because we're practicable and we do give financial assistance also. So thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
Good. All right.
Wow. Right. Well,
okay.
Listen,
Dr. Henry?
Yes, Pastor Paul, always a pleasure. Again, our prayers go out to Pastor Wade. We know that he has suffered some loss, and we are definitely lifting up in prayer. To you gentlemen here, awesome, mighty workers of Christ, thank you for joining us here at the Pastors Roundtable, where we aim to help keep ministry relevant,
resourced,
and real. God bless.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.